The crystalline chambers of the Intergalactic Council hummed with quantum resonance as representatives from 47 star systems gathered for an emergency session. Ambassador Zix Tyol of the hegemony adjusted her temporal stabilizers, her 6 eyes focusing on the holographic display floating above the central podium. The data streams were disturbing. "The readings cannot be accurate," growled Commandant Threx, his scaled hide shifting from deep purple to an agitated orange. The Dreknari had been galactic peacekeepers for 3 millennia, and in all that time, no species had ever presented such anomalous behavioral patterns. Dr. Keening, the Council's chief xenobiologist, manipulated the data with her tentacled appendages. "I've run the analysis 17 times across different quantum probability matrices. The results remain consistent." Her chromatophores pulsed with scientific fascination. Homo sapiens appears to be the first discovered species that lacks any genetic or cultural surrender protocol. The chamber fell silent save for the harmonious breathing of the ethereal choir delegation, whose gaseous forms filtered through the atmospheric processes. "Explain," demanded High Arbiter Molteth, his ancient voice carrying the weight of galactic authority. Dr. Keening's tentacles danced across the holographic interface, pulling up comparative biological scans. "Every sentient species we've encountered, all 234 catalog civilizations, possesses some form of neurological surrender mechanism. When faced with overwhelming odds, their fight or flight response naturally transitions to submission behaviors." "As it should," murmured the collective consciousness of Zerion Prime through their cybernetic translator. "Surrender preserves life. It allows for negotiation, eventual freedom, genetic continuity." "Not humans," Dr. Keening continued, her excitement growing. "Their neural pathways show no such evolutionary development. When cornered, their fight or flight response intensifies exponentially. They appear to possess what their own scientists have termed psychological reactance. The harder you push, the harder they push back." Zix Thal's temporal field flickered with anxiety. "But surely their military forces understand tactical retreat." "That's where it becomes more complex," Dr. Keening replied, pulling up combat footage from the recent first contact incidents. "They do understand strategy and tactical withdrawal, but when they perceive an existential threat, when surrender would mean total subjugation or extinction of their values, they simply don't." The display showed recordings from various human conflicts throughout their history. Images of outnumbered forces fighting to the last soldier, civilians resisting occupation, despite overwhelming force, entire populations choosing death over enslavement. Commandant Threx studied the data with professional interest. Their military doctrine appears to be built around this principle. They call it victory or death, give me liberty or give me death, never surrender. It's encoded in their cultural DNA. "Precisely," Dr. Keening confirmed. "And there's more. When they encounter a force, they cannot defeat through conventional means. They adapt rapidly. Their technological innovation accelerates under pressure. They've developed weapons systems in decades that took most species centuries to perfect." The hive mind of Betelgeuse XII spoke through their queen node. "This suggests they are unsuitable for standard conquest protocols. The Dominion's usual method of demonstrating overwhelming force to secure immediate surrender would likely backfire." "More than backfire," said Dr. Keening grimly. "Based on our psychological models, threatening humanity's existence would likely trigger what their military strategists call total war. They would weaponize everything: their technology, their environment, even their own biology. They've shown willingness to sacrifice their entire planet rather than accept defeat." High Arbiter Molteth processed this information through his ancient neural matrices. "And their reproduction patterns? Fascinating." Dr. Keening's chromatophores pulsed rapidly. "Unlike species that reduce breeding during times of stress, humans increase reproduction when facing existential threats. They appear to have evolved to become more numerous and more resistant the harder you try to eliminate them. The chamber buzzed with quantum-encrypted communications as delegates conferred with their home worlds. The implications were staggering. For millennia, galactic expansion had followed predictable patterns: contact, demonstration of superior force, negotiated surrender, integration. Humans had broken the pattern entirely. "There's something else," Dr. Keening added quietly. "Their literature, their entertainment media, their cultural narratives, they all glorify resistance against impossible odds. They have countless stories about small groups defeating vastly superior forces through determination and ingenuity." "Meaning?" prompted Zixtaol. "They don't just lack a surrender protocol, they've culturally programmed themselves to view surrender as the ultimate failure. To a human, there are things worse than death." Commandant Threx leaned back in his chair, his hide settling into contemplative blue. "So what do you recommend?" Dr. Keening's tentacles stilled. "Diplomatic contact. Immediately. Before anyone attempts conquest protocols. And if they refuse our overtures." The chamber waited as Dr. Keening processed the question through multiple probability cascades. "Then we have two choices: leave them entirely alone, or face the first species in galactic history that will fight us to mutual extinction." High Arbiter Molteeth's ancient eyes gleamed with something that might have been respect. "Schedule a diplomatic mission, full honors, and prepare a briefing for all member species." As the session adjourned, delegates began the complex process of rewriting first contact protocols for the first time in 3,000 years. In their private communications, many wondered if they had encountered the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Or perhaps, whispered some, the most valuable allies they could ever hope to find. The quantum chambers dimmed as the council dispersed, leaving only the echo of a fundamental question in a universe where every species had learned to surrender. What did you do with the one that simply wouldn't?